My name is Katy Cosby, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm a member of our church congregation. I am so honored to be able to share with you all my journey from darkness into the blessing life of Christ. I may not have seemed like it when Garrett first asked, but it really is such a joy to be able to share my testimony and look back at all the wonderful blessings Christ has bestowed on me. I think my story is a typical one of young teens today, but for me it was far from typical. I look back on my past and cry tears of joy from where I've been to where I am today. From what I can remember, I had a pretty great childhood. I had parents that loved me and was raised in a Christian home. But it wasn't until I was about 8 years old when my parents got divorced that life got a little confusing for me. I continued to go to church from then until high school, but I always struggled with feelings of not feeling loved or being accepted. Even though my parents were always there for me, I felt like I had been abandoned, almost an orphan in a sense. In high school, Satan exploited those feelings of loneliness, and I began down a very dark path. I began searching for love and acceptance with all the wrong people and began trying to mask those feelings of emptiness and fear with any kind of high, emotionally or physically, that I could to cover it up. As a result, I was completely destroying my life. I was living life on my terms, and as a result, I was destroying relationships along the way. Finally, after 5 years of this pain and suffering, I hit rock bottom. I had dropped out of college, lost my job, and was on the verge of being homeless. I'd pretty much ruined my relationships with my family and close friends. But luckily, Christ had other plans for my life. He had planted the idea into my sister's head to send me to treatment and have me come live with her. And at that time, I thought anything was better than being homeless, so I left for treatment, broken, afraid, and feeling completely abandoned, which I honestly believe now is exactly how I needed to feel, because it was in that state that I cried out to God to save me, and He revealed Himself to me. There was a peace and love that I had never felt before. I had been adopted into His blessing life. His blessings extended even further when I was given the opportunity to go to Egypt with our church. Christ changed my life on that trip. Being on the mission field revealed to me my purpose is to serve Christ and others. So when I got back, I enrolled into nursing school, and here I am today, a nurse. I've been blessed with the most amazing friendships and church family as well. Today, I look back now and recall instances when I should not be here today, but He spared me. Christ's love and grace is so magnificent and great that He forgave me and still adopted me in. But what I think is so amazing is that He requires nothing of us but to turn to Him. We will always be His children, and He, our Abba. This has brought me the greatest peace in the last month, as my best friend Shelley had passed away. She had become a Christian at a young age, and for those who knew her, she had the most amazing Christ-like love for others. But she, like all of us, was broken. She started down the same perilous path I had been on. However, for her, Christ offered her complete peace and acceptance and took her home to be with Him. This to me is the greatest testimony to God's unfailing love for His children. So I'd like to close with this scripture verse from Galatians 4:4-7 that Garrett also quotes in his book, stating that despite our race, gender, history, or background, as believers, we have been adopted as heirs into Christ's kingdom. But when the set time had fully come, God sent His Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those under the law, that we might receive adoption to sonship. Because you are His sons, God sent the Spirit of His Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but God's child. And since you are His child, God has made you also an heir.